sports teaches you that you will always be humbled in sports.
The guy's a modern day Goliath.
Well, guess what? That's the same thing in life. Part of that experience is you will be humbled. And what I like to say is, why I love this podcast is, you will be grateful. For me, that's the most motivating part of performing at a high level in sports is when I walk onto the field, I take a moment to be grateful for the opportunity.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Sparks of Gratitude podcast. I am your host, Randy Sparks. Gratitude can save and change lives, and we like to talk to people with positive attitudes, with experience, with motivation. Today, we've got an awesome guest, Bronson Kaufusi. Welcome to the conversation.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, we're really excited. So if you're listening, you probably know Bronson, but I mean, other than having the best smile in the business, he was college football star, basketball star, all at once, NFL player. So more than anything now, Bronson focuses on mindset, financial freedom, investing, and just being awesome. So we're going to learn a little bit about how Bronson gets excited and how gratitude's played a part in his life. So let's get this thing going.
Let's do it.
All right, man. So you and I met for the first time. I mean, I've known who you are because I've watched you on TV when you're in college and stuff like that, playing ball. Bronson and I actually went to the same high school, just a lot of years apart because I'm an old man now. But we went skiing together this year, 6 months ago or something like that, and that was a ton of fun.
That was fun, yeah. So you're much better than me. He was teaching me the ropes. I was over there trying to learn, figure it out. I didn't ski forever just because of sports.
Yeah,
because you don't want to risk injury.
Right. Well, and how much of that was that you didn't want to risk it, or that your coaches wouldn't let you risk it?
Technically both. You're not supposed to. And in some contracts, like it says no, winter sports, like snowboarding and skiing. But I just was always nervous. I think, but I realized like, man, I was a good enough skier because I grew up here doing it. I would have been fine. I would have been safe every year just because I know how to be safe and I never really fall because I don't do anything crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. When I was in high school, I was a ski racer, and
cool.
I would get nervous about getting injured because I didn't want to ruin my racing. Now, let me kind of back that off. I wasn't ever winning anything, but I was super into it, and I loved it a lot. And that's what taught me how to ski was really being in a race course. That's where you really learn how to turn on skis. But I remember my older brother was starting to go out when we were in high school, and he's doing backflips off jumps and stuff like that. And I'm like, you're so stupid. You're going to get hurt and you won't be able to race. Because that's what was the most important to me.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't about big air and tricks and stuff like that. I was about keeping the skis on the ground, turning, going fast.
Just dialed in. Yeah.
So I'm kind of a one-trick pony when it comes to skiing. It's just like fast turns.
I like that. That's one thing I did this year I didn't ever do was like time or see how fast I got. And it was actually, I didn't even know that was a thing. So I had fun doing that this year.
That was awesome. Well, we'll need to go again this year. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, so why don't we jump in with what is getting you motivated right now? I see you focus a lot and what you post on social media on mindset and motivation. And so what is really motivating you right now? Hello, everyone. I want to thank you so much for listening to the Sparks of Gratitude podcast. If you like what you're listening to, will you please hit that like, subscribe to this, and tell us what you like about it in the comments. That'll help us get great guests and keep this thing going. Now back to our interview.
Honestly, I would say, especially after high school, I went on a mission, church mission, came home. And, one of the biggest takeaways that has stuck with me forever is seeing people be able to change from a mental standpoint, from a financial standpoint, from an emotional standpoint, relationships. Truly, people can change. And that's what motivates me in everything that I do. And helping people even know that's a possibility is like half the battle, honestly. Once they know that, I can change everything around me right now and I can change my life. Wow. It is so awesome to see that. And so I've been focusing a lot on, mindset and starting there. And then it kind of permeates into all areas of life. And so, I just experienced the power of, mindset, mental strength training, because I never experienced that before, but it changed my life. And sports was the vehicle, but I took everything I learned and I've placed it into family, marriage, being a dad, financial wellness, financial freedom. And so, but it all started with mindset.
And for mindset, you say that kind of started with sports. I mean, at what point along this path of high school to college to pro sports, mindset is a huge part of that. But when was that something that you realized was intentional?
I became extremely deliberate with my mindset and everything in that area in 2013, my sophomore year, because my dad, who was my coach in college on the football team, my position coach, he actually, called me in. We had a meeting and it was pretty formal, which I wasn't used to. But he told me, hey, we're going to take away your playing time because you're not performing on game day. And I was just like, part of me was like, you're kind of hurt, but at the same time, I knew that this is real. Like, I agree. I'm not playing at the level I need to be. And so I need to, what do I need to do? That was my question. I asked him, what do I need to do? And he said, you start focusing on your mindset and mental performance and everything else you have. Because on game day, during that season, during that first 4 or 5 games, I watched the film and it's like I would make one mistake and then just lose all my confidence. And then I was just kind of out there and I was like playing slow. You watch the film, and as a football coach was watching it, he would watch it and say, man, why are you thinking so much? Everything's your hands are a little slow, your steps are a little slow, your reaction time is just not there. You're not playing free, you're not playing fast. And so once that happened, he said, hey, you need to go talk to Craig Manning. And he was, the head of mental performance over there at BYU. And man, it changed everything for me. Everything changed.
Yeah. And did you have any mindset, maybe not as deliberate, but when you were younger in high school, or was it was just all size and skill and
literally
getting through it?
Yeah, it was literally, I was just the kid. I didn't do extra training. Like, I didn't have a trainer like a lot of kids do nowadays. My dad would be like, go run at the park, go run hills at the park, the only time I really spent on my sport was during practice, with the team. And I was just, I look back now, I'm like, I was just relying on just straight, love of the game because I had fun doing it, and I was good at it. And I was just relying on straight talent and, these God-given gifts that I had in high school. I mean, it was good enough to be at that level. But then when you go to college, it's, those things, everyone has those things. Mm-hmm. And so how do you separate yourself? And how do you play fast and make plays? Because if you're playing fast, you're going to make plays. And for me, I would say, I didn't, which is crazy. But my freshman year, I had a pretty solid freshman year. I'd get in, probably play 20 snaps a game. Then my sophomore year, I just come off basketball season. I had missed spring ball because we were playing, and then I just joined the team in the summer. But then I was a full-time starter my sophomore year. I was a 4-down player, and I learned quickly, which I'm so grateful for. Having that hard conversation with my dad, losing playing time, but instead of just cowering, what do I need to do? Like let's go to work. That's one mentality I've always had, even in high school, is I love a challenge. And part of that's just because I grew up in a family where we all were so competitive with each other. So, so my dad challenged me. I mean, for me, that's how you get my blood going, is if someone says, you can't do this, you're not good enough. And so
watch.
Yeah. Watch. Just wait. I'll get after it. So,
yeah. Well, and so when that happened, it kind of knocked you in the head a little bit. Your dad telling you, but he's not talking to you like your dad. He's talking to you like a coach.
Yes.
It's like, hey, we're taking your playing time down, and kind of knocked you into some humility, I guess.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Definitely. That's the thing I love about sports, is sports teaches you that, you will always be humbled in sports. Well, guess what? That's the same thing in life. You will be humbled. And part of that experience is you will be humbled. And what I like to say is, why I love this podcast is, you will be grateful. And so that's one thing I've taken away from sports is, for me, that's the most motivating part of performing at a high level in sports, is when I walk onto the field, I take a moment to be grateful for the opportunity. For me, it's I know that to play that sport at that level, and in college, and this is what I learned, this is part of my mindset training, to get into that space of flow state, or in the zone. I would step onto the field and, touch the grass, and I'd look over, I'd see my dad sitting there, and I knew like all just the overwhelming feeling of gratitude would come, because he came from Tonga when he was about 8 or 9. So many sacrifices just to get here. Ends up playing football, and gets a scholarship, calls home, tells his mom, hey, everyone needs to play football. He has a lot of brothers. They all end up playing. They all end up going to college. My dad football changes his life and his family's life. And so now I'm the next generation, and I'm sitting there just remembering all those sacrifices in that moment before the game. And all of a sudden I have endless energy because I'm in such a gratitude mindset, and I'm about to show my gratitude for how I'm about to play.
Wow. What a cool mindset to step on the field and just soak in the joy of that. You love this.
Yeah.
I watched a video of a professor the other day. Now I'm going to change. You can see I've got this. I'm a big tennis fan.
Oh, let's go.
It's actually signed by Rafael Nadal, which is
oh
really
my
cool.
goodness. That's a rare thing right there.
Yeah, I at a tennis match, I went and watched him play, and he signed it and then hit it into the stands, and I caught it. But he's been my favorite player for
That's awesome.
more than 20 years. But so I was watching someone talk about this mindset, focused on tennis in particular. But he says, what makes the difference between, a top 10 player and a top 100 player, something like that? Is it their skill? Is it their determination? Is it all of these things? Like, no. Is it their diet? Is it their practice? Is it their strength training? None of those things made the difference. What made the difference was their mindset when they lose a point, their mindset after a point. He said that's what makes the difference between the top player and the one that's below them. It was all mindset, because like you described, you say all these guys on the field, they all have the talent.
Everyone does.
And so what differentiates you? And then I saw Roger Federer give a commencement speech at Dartmouth this year, and he talks about, and he says, how many matches I won in my career? And it was just some absurd amount of matches that he won in his career, and the percentage that he won. And he says, but do you know how many points I won? 55% of my points. In my whole career, I won 55%. Wow. He says, even the top players in the world, and 55% is massive in tennis.
Yeah.
Even the top players in the world barely win over half of their points that they play. He says, what makes the difference is you're going to lose a lot of points, but your mindset when you lose one to move on to the next. And remember, I'm here because I love the game.
Yeah.
And move on to the next and appreciate and love. And that's what makes the difference.
Yeah.
And I'm just seeing you smile and describe that and touch the grass and feel it. And so I'm like, oh, this is amazing. And I love that. And so you worked with Craig Manning. Could you tell me a little bit about working with Craig Manning, who he is and how that made an impact with you?
Craig Manning, right? Head of, mental strength coach, head of mental performance. He was at BYU, played professional tennis. And I'm pretty sure he lives actually close by to here, where we're at right now.
Yeah.
And
yeah, he does. I actually know Craig. He wrote a book called The Fearless Mind, which is amazing about mindset and high performance. And
it was, it's so good. Like, and you know what? Reading that book, it's like I've literally experienced every single word in that book when he talks about it. I experienced, you watch the film from my sophomore year, that stint right there where I got benched to my senior year. They're like two different animals. And it is, and what changed? Well, the focus on mindset, mentally, training your mind to process faster, more clearly. Craig would call it, in all the sports psychologists that I know, right? Mental grooving, taking your skills and being able to perform them at a high level without distraction. And so for me, it changed everything because, Craig, the first thing I remember that I didn't have was a vision. I didn't have goals. I was just out there still just showing up and playing. But once I had the vision of this is who I'm going to be in this game. Like I defined it myself. This is what I'm going to do. Changed everything. I met with Craig quite often, and that first meeting where we talked about the goals of like, what do I want? I kind of didn't know. He asked me, what do you want? I didn't really know. I didn't know what to say. I was just like, I want to be a good player. Like, so talk about being so vague and not really knowing to just becoming so clear, deliberate. But then also, a big part of it is becoming concise or like being able to take what you want and making it so simple at the same time. And you take that into every area of your game and what you do every day. Changed it for me. I was so I mean, so locked in, so dialed in. I knew exactly, my routines were so, they were just, I was different. I started to become different amongst that group of players in the locker room because I knew what I wanted. I knew who I was, and I knew this is what it takes to get there.
Well, what was the process like of defining that horizon, that vision out there of this is who I am, this is who I am, this is who I'm becoming? Like that's the ideal that I'm aiming at, and I'm guessing it was like this declaratory statement: is this is who I am?
Yeah,
and simplify that into something that you can, like a mantra, you can say to yourself. So, were there any of those types of things?
Oh yeah. We use a journal. I mean, I'm writing every day, and I still do, just because I experienced. I mean, now I've been doing it 12 years. Writing in a journal, writing down, using the things that he teaches in the Fearless Mind, and also from other mindset coaches that I had in the NFL, and mixing it all up and using what worked for me. But for me, I defined myself through the actions that I take. So I call them cues. I know Craig calls them that too. My cues I have cues every day, different areas of life, and my cues, they'd help me to act, to do something. And that's the task, and the outcomes would take care of themselves. So, and that's when the skills you learn is, how do I focus on what I can do, not what I can't do? And when I do that, I'm able to be present, and now I get my best self, which is actually my true authentic self. And being okay with that and knowing I'm different. Like every single player on the field is different, has a different set of skills, has a different, whatever they do, it's different. But for me, it's knowing that what makes me great, this, and this. Okay. How do I use that to my advantage? Well, today I'm going to focus on this exact cue, and after practice, I'm going to review it. And then as time goes, days and days of this, now the mindset becomes, I'm the greatest player to ever play. And that's just the mindset you have. I'm the greatest player on this field right now. And it's just, and so you just have this mindset and you just take it with you.
I love that. So Craig kind of has a lot of overlap on the habits and so on. And so Atomic Habits, James Clear wrote that.
Yeah.
He talks about those things. And I'd say those cues, maybe how he applies it is you create that vision for yourself, and then these actions that you're taking daily are casting votes for the person that you are becoming, that you declared who you are. And so that's what you're describing to me. I think it's so awesome because you're like, that's who I am. And so therefore, this is what I do to be that.
Yeah, I am what I do.
Yeah.
I am what I do. That's one thing I learned. I mean, people can look at you, and what's interesting is people take note because, wait, why is Bronson getting here 2 hours early? Why is he warming up? And they start to see routine stick in. And it's because when I show up to work out at 6:30 a.m., I will have already showered, been in the hot tub, stretched. I walk in there, I'm about to get every single second out of this workout. And then I'm going to do the same thing in meetings. I'm going to do the same thing pre-practice. I'm going to do the same thing. Whereas I had, teammates that show up 5 minutes before, half asleep. How much are they going to get out of that time? And that's one thing I've always been big on is just, time is fleeting. Time is, the only way you get more time is, truly by using it more fully, because we all have so much time every day.
And what are some of the things that you do to focus on that presence and being intentional in the moment? Because I imagine you get tired. It's hard to get up in the morning. And so what are some of the practices you do to kind of help motivate you through that?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I would say I try to, knowing what's coming, I like to focus on taking out all of the friction and distraction so if I'm going to go, it's funny because my mom used to have us put our clothes out the night before school. Mm-hmm. I do that for working out now. I have my clothes out. I know what my workout is the night before. I know what time my kids are going to wake up at. And I know I need to be up at this time in order to get everything that I want done. And I also, when it gets tough though, I remember how much I love having that alone time in the morning to work out and just kind of be still. And it's just me. And it reminds me how much I just love that. I create a lot of want or opportunity over here, and in my mind, and then it attracts me to it. So when my alarm goes off in the morning, I know all this opportunities right here, and it literally like pulled me out of bed.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't know. That's how it's worked for me. And same thing in sports. Same thing in sports. Being present for me is remembering why I'm doing this and why. Because for me, working out, like now I'm done playing, but I work out. I still have the routines, but why? Because I know I'm gonna be a better husband because I'm being disciplined in the morning. I'm being deliberate. I'm gonna be a better father. I'm gonna have more energy. I'm gonna take care of these things so that way in every relationship that I am building that day, everything I'm doing is I get to be at my best, and I've known this, since that sophomore year, and I noticed it in the NFL, watching other players, like high level players, their routines, they are locked in.
Well, so other than Craig, who are some of these impactful, inspiring people along the way who are you are now grateful for?
Yeah.
That made changes in your life, whether that was when you were young or in college or in NFL or personal life. Who are some of these impactful people that maybe stand out?
Oh man, I go through. Okay, so high school, I had a head coach on the football team. It was Coach Wong. He built young men. Like, it wasn't about football. He had us do stuff that had nothing to do with football. Like, it was, and I loved that. It was just like service. It was, I remember at the high school, they needed some bricks moved, and they were trying to figure out how we're gonna get these bricks moved. They're redoing the stadium, and Coach Wong's like, "Oh, we'll do it." So literally, we moved bricks for the 2 hours, big ones, like cinder block, huge ones. Moved it all, the whole football team, and feeling, and then like watching him before games, like in his speeches, it was about love and appreciation. Okay, and I loved that. And then in college, obviously my dad, right? I could go on and on about him, but the coolest thing about him was every player felt like his son. So he was one of those coaches where he didn't have to yell at you. If you made a mistake, the torment that you would do as one of his sons, you felt bad.
You don't want to disappoint him.
Don't want to disappoint him. Yeah. And that was his coaching style.
Yeah. It sounds like that not wanting to disappoint him is out because they love him, not because they fear him.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was because he played, and he understood that, and he understood it by how he coached and what he did. And so, everyone loved him. That's probably why he only coached in 2 places for almost 30 years. He was at University of Utah for almost 10 and BYU for almost 20, 4 different head coaches, because that's who he is. He doesn't change. And then the head coach was Bronco Mendenhall at BYU. And I've never done, with him, it's all about discipline, grit. I'm going to test you and let's see how far you can go. And I loved that though, because, things get tough. Like you said, all right, now let's see who you are. Let's see when everyone's, around you is kind of falling or things are getting tough, people are complaining, nothing's going right. Who are you? That's what he wants to see. And so, he was an incredible coach. And then, you go to the NFL. For me, I had Eric Weddle, an incredible mentor for me when I got into the NFL. He walked in, he was with the Ravens same time as I was, right when I joined. He had just come from San Diego, and he pretty much took me underneath his wing, and I lived his routines and his lifestyle in the NFL. Never seen anyone, he's so mentally strong. Playing hurt, no matter what's going on, the storm around him, he knows what needs to get done, who he is. And not just on the field, but I saw him as a dad with all his kids. And that was important to him. And so, for me, that's what I wanted. I didn't have kids at the time. So to watch him, balance football and family was awesome. And then, moving up, through, I just had just incredible, teammates and coaches, because I was just a sponge. Like, I was always learning. I would go onto a team with my teammates. I'm always trying to learn every day, like from individuals, not just football, just who they are. Like, how do they handle things? How do they think about things? Like, then when I was in Green Bay, it was fun to sit there and learn from their sports psychologist, Dr. Carr. And then, you have Aaron Rodgers that was there. And I loved being able to, just sit and watch how he would, mentally prepare himself. But then also how serious he takes the mental training and the mental side of sports. And that's, I mean, and then I think, now that I'm done, wow, if only I would have done this earlier. If only I would have done this like when I was younger, it would have changed the game for me. Because, I mean, even more so now, just with social media and the level of comparison that takes place every day, you know, these young athletes are, oh man, I did something cool. Let's post it on this and get likes. And, you know, it's detrimental actually to their development. So when athletes get in that state of mind, and because it doesn't last, that's the thing. So that's why their mindset is so important.
Yeah. Well, so on mindset, talk to me about maybe some of the challenges you faced, or those gut punches or disappointment where maybe it was injury or, you know, getting waived from a team, like how that affected you and how your mindset helped you through those moments. Because I'm sure they were devastating.
Oh, that's why sports is so incredible. You get to go through devastating events.
Oh, that is amazing. Like, that's why it's so incredible, because you get to go through those things. Yeah. Tell me about that. Why is that so incredible and amazing? Like,
oh, I learned it early. In high school, senior year, I'm supposed to have the most incredible year. I have all these things lined up. I'm supposed to go play in the Under Armour All-American game and do all these things. Basketball, it's awesome. You know, all these things, right? Go in. And literally the second game, my senior year, I mean, the first game played really well, very productive, right? Dominating, playing at a high level. And then second game, tear my ACL, out. Everything stops.
Last season.
And that's where I learned the most valuable lesson, I would say, when it comes to sports. And I hope, I mean, every athlete will learn this eventually because they hang it up. But I learned it on the front end, which was important. And that is, and my dad had told me for years, right? Because he was a coach. Sports is what you do. It's not who you are. My identity was so tied into sports that when it wasn't there anymore, it's like, who am I? And I got that in high school.
Wow.
So it changed my view of sports. Yes, I want to be the best, but I also want to be the best son, brother. I want to be the best student. I want to be the best, you know, and so for me, I learned that early on. Fast forward, I get drafted in the 3rd round. I'm the 70th pick overall to the Ravens. I show up, I get hurt like the first couple of weeks I'm there. I guess it's actually pretty serious. I blew all the disc in my back. I rehab back. I come back for fall camp, right? For training camp. Oh, I start playing really well. I start rotating and, you know, start earning some more playing time. Literally, during a scrimmage, a player falls on me. I just hear pops and cracks, and I have no idea what's going on. I fall down. I just feel just pain in my leg. I look down, and my ankle, I'm telling my foot to move. It's not moving, and it's just dangling. I tore every ligament and tendon in my ankle. And then also I'm looking down, and the side of my lower leg doesn't look right. I had a spiral fracture all the way up to the top. So everything's gone. Once again, I go through devastating, where you're literally on top. That draft night, when you get drafted, it's like you're on top of the world. Like, you just are like, wow, I did it. But then you realize, no, you look off and you see another mountain to climb. And that's when and I've always known that. And now I'm on that mountain climbing, and now I feel like I just slid down to the bottom immediately, because the NFL doesn't wait for anyone. They're going to draft people in your position. They already have a list of 100 people waiting. You know, it's the most competitive thing ever. And I love that. So now I have to learn, how do I get through this devastating moment? How do I bounce back? Well, it's hard to bounce back when they flew me down to North Carolina to the lead doctor, like in the world, for lower leg, you know, injuries. And he tells me, this is the worst one I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's not.
This is the worst one I've ever seen. I don't know if you're going to be able to come back from this. I'm like, I didn't even get to play a year. And, you know, I start thinking, man, is this it? Like, is that it? Like, am I done? And he tells me, man, it's going to be tough, because I'm going to have to go in, attach all your tendons and everything. And then, because the spiral fracture here, I'm going to have to go cut through your calf. And then I'm going to have to put another plate in. So you're going to have one on the lower part with 2 titanium tight ropes. And then I'm going to cut through your calf, and I'm going to put a bigger one with like 6 or 8 screws in there. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. So we did it. And honestly, I mean, with that type of injury, you're never the same, but you find a way. And that's why such a devastating moment turns into the greatest experience that sports offers that. So now I have to struggle every single day just to get less than centimeters of motion. I'm doing everything. I'm going 8 hours a day of rehab in the training room. I'm there all day. I'm there by myself. That's the hardest thing about when you get hurt as an athlete is you are now alienated from the team. You're by yourself going through recovery. And that's where that's probably the scariest part about it. And a lot of athletes really struggle. But I had done this before. In high school. And how I approached that recovery, that's who I am. Coming back from it and playing, that's what I do. And so for me, being able to attack the process, that's who I am.
And that's a mindset, daily commitment of this is who I am and this is hard, and 8-hour rehab and training for how long are you recovering from this injury?
Months.
That's not like
months.
That's not like, well, by Friday.
Months.
Yeah.
Literally I was June, July, August. Yeah, 8 months.
8 months. And then during that 8 months, I'm sure you were incrementally progressing.
Yeah.
But in the middle of that, were you also feeling like you were falling backwards?
Oh, yeah. You have setbacks during that because you're used to, as an athlete, pushing to the edge, not going off, but you push to it, to the very, very edge. And but that's where you win. That's how you win, is every day you go there. And so for me, recovering from that injury, I knew I had to do that. But part of that is, okay, you're not going to feel good. In the morning it's going to hurt. Rehab's going to hurt. You're for days, weeks, you're not going to see progress. You're going to still be doing the same things, but it's just not progressing. Then all of a sudden, boom, you start to progress and slowly. And, for me, I learned this in high school. I'd be down at the rehab center down in Provo, and I'm just by myself, and I'm there for 4 hours by myself. But I learned, and I knew this even when I was, I knew this during that injury, the NFL. And now I've called it something, but I had to find every little tiny fleck of progress and be grateful for it, because now I truly could recover faster instead of saying, this sucks. I'm by myself. I can't do this. I'm never going to be the same. No, the mindset is, wow, I got this much motion in my ankle, literally less than a centimeter today. Wow, I get to walk today. Wow, I get to shuffle. I get to be able to land on my ankle. I get to, and what happens, it's just two different mindsets there. And who's going to heal faster, And so I learned the power of stat alone. And now I call it, when people look for gold in a river, they find flecks of gold. So in order to combat tough times, things that are so tough and hard in life, it's find the flecks of gold. Where are they? Be grateful for them. They're tiny, but over time they stack up. And in knowing that, there's a lot of people that really struggle with that. They don't know, or they haven't experienced that level of gratitude for a fleck of progress, and watching it build, and being totally okay with it taking time, because it just takes time.
What a gift that you were able to learn that lesson when you were young and then take that with you, because I guarantee it wasn't easy in any of those circumstances.
Never easy. Yeah, so tough. Yeah.
But when you can focus on looking on flecks of gold, that these horrible circumstances, painful, devastating, emotionally, mentally, physically, that, hey, there's gold in here.
There is.
If I look for it, I might see it. If I dig for it, I'm going to find it.
Yeah.
And wow, that's amazing. That's inspiring. Like, this is the best way to start my morning, Bronson. I'm excited about that. Next time I have something hard, this is one of the biggest themes that I have come across on the podcast that people talk about, is finding gratitude through the hard stuff is really what changes everything.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not always that they find gratitude at the moment in the acute pain of the thing, but then it's assigning meaning to it and saying, okay, I know this is hard and I can look for that gold.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, like the way you describe it and light up of looking back, you probably weren't smiling like that when they landed on your leg.
Oh, yeah. I was like screaming and grabbing my leg.
And now, look at the smile on his face, guys. Like, this is the way you're describing that experience, is how wonderful these challenges are, how incredible it is that in sports you get knocked down.
Oh, yeah. It's the best part about sports.
I love that you talk about that, because the wins, the losses, the things that strengthen you, and to talk to me a little bit about balance, because I see through your life, I mean, you've had to, balance between playing two different sports in high school and college, and also, attend school.
Yeah.
And then later in life, this is balance with family. I mean, you were telling me that the people you admired in the NFL were, excellent players, dedicated, mentally, physical preparation, but also good, a good father.
Yeah.
And so what does balance mean to you? Where have you learned about that? How have you applied that through your life?
As soon as you say that, it makes me think about, man, I have great parents. I learned this through them. We played sports. It was such a big part. We never forced to play. We could have done whatever we wanted. But my parents were always, well, you're going to be active. You're going to play a sport. And also you're going to play an instrument. So we always played sports. I mean, my dad never forced football. I started with soccer and did all that. But then as time was going, as we started to progress and get better and, get more opportunities with sports. And a lot of people, especially nowadays, it's like, okay, you do your sport and that's all you do. And everything else is going to take a back seat. And we're okay with that. Like school can take a back seat, what you do in your community, church, everything else takes a back seat to sports. Well, that wasn't the case in my family, right? If I wanted to, go do stuff with my friends that cost money, I was going to earn my own money. So I worked at Days Market, which is a little grocery store up there by Timview, pretty much the whole time. Literally playing a Friday game, football game. Well, then I have that 5:00 shift on Saturday night from 5 to 11:30, and I'm a bagger. I was a cashier. I'm doing that in the morning too. I'm going to go and cut down trees and mow lawns. And I loved how my parents had us work outside of sports just to be grateful, right? And outside of that, oh, guess what? You're going to go to all the different youth events at church. And I knew I was going to every single one of them. I already knew. And that was great. Scouts, I did scouts, and you're going to go do scouts. You're going to go on campouts. You're going to do these things. Neighbors, it's snowing outside. You're going to go and shovel all their driveways. So you better wake up and get ready to go. And just instilling in us, you can do it all. You truly can do it all. And I just look, right now, I'm watching my mom do it all. She's the mayor of Provo, and she's, just outside of that, man, she's so great with our grandkids. She's a great Grammy. That's what we call her. Yeah. And I love that. It's just having that confidence that, what, busy people get things done. That's just part of it. And you just embrace it, and you just go all in. And how do you balance? That's how you balance. Where you're at, what you're doing, be there, go all into it. Go all in. When you're at home, go all in. For me, playing with my kids, with my wife, set time aside. I'm gonna wake up in the morning, I'm gonna clean up. That's one of my roles. I wanna contribute. Even though I have this and this going on, that's just part of it. So if I have to get up earlier, great, I'll get up earlier. 'Cause that's what I control. And so for me, balance has always been, man, I'm just gonna, wherever I'm doing, wherever I'm at, I just need to be there, be in that moment. And it's gonna get busy, and that's just part of it. But what do I control is, what's my attitude? How can I build where I'm at? I think that's, for me, what balance is.
Yeah, well, I've seen kind of a common thread here when you talk about your identity and who you are and how that motivated you, as well as how the way that you're describing balance is going all in there. It's take NFL out of the equation. Your identity's not gone. Your identity just was playing football.
Football amplified it.
Right.
That's it.
And right. And so when you describe balance, you're saying, well, Bronson Kaufusi is this, and he's that when he's being a dad, when he's exercising, when he's cleaning up the house, when he's serving the neighbors, when you're showing up as this person that you're creating and becoming.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing.
That's a really good way to, I've never thought about it like that. Yeah, you're right. And that, to me, that's what being your authentic self is. Or becoming your authentic self is. For me, it's I just take who I am into every situation.
Well, it's really exciting and motivating, and you're just energizing. You radiate this positive and confident energy and belief. I mean, it's very clear that you believe in yourself and this person you are and who you're becoming. And because of your experience as a teen, losing what you thought was your identity, but then discovering it in the process, you work with teens now, like young kids now, to kind of help with that. So tell me a little bit about that and how you motivate youth.
Yeah, I just wanted the youth to get the things that I learned, honestly, because it was such a life-changing experience. And so for me, it's like, okay, I've been trained by guys like Craig Manning, Dr. Carr. There's so many guys that I've been trained by, that have trained high performers. Why don't young athletes, young people get that opportunity? Well, because those guys are full-time with their teams. Like Craig's with the Milwaukee Bucks, Dr. Carr's with the Packers. Like they don't have the time. And, so for me, I was like, man, I think I could change some people's lives through some of these trainings. And so, I ended up, I just started meeting with one kid, and all of a sudden the demand was so high. I literally couldn't make it work. So from parents, and that's one thing I'm super grateful for, is my dad knew it couldn't come from him. He knew he had to have someone else say a lot of the things that he wanted to say. Maybe he had been saying.
I love that. Someone else. I love that you say that, because I think of in my life how many people were impactful to me, who taught me lessons that I know my parents wanted me to hear, but I would not have listened if they said it to me.
Yeah, you would not have listened.
Having another voice teach that lesson that they'll listen to during that period of time when they're a teenager and kind of like maybe won't listen to mom and dad.
Yeah.
And so I pray every day that my kids will have that influence from somebody else. And so is that what you're describing right now?
Yes, exactly. I was one of those kids too. I think everyone is, honestly. And so I just was like, okay, well, I think I can provide something still. And so I ended up, I launched a course, an online course, and tried to make it entertaining, like reels, because that's what they're used to, seeing things move across the screen. But I want them to get these skills, just fundamentals that they can use to win. And I talk about sports a lot because that's the vehicle. A lot of people can relate to that. But it's life. Like, it is just completely all about life and who they're becoming. Because that's the thing, where everyone's becoming someone. Is it who you want to be? Some people don't know. And sometimes they're becoming someone that they actually don't want to be. And so that direction really matters, especially in high school and teens and in middle school. And so helping them discover, wait, what do I want? What do I actually want? Helping them think for themselves. And they're kind of getting into that stage where they're testing it, right? And a lot of it influences the people in their circle, and I just think it's such a unique opportunity to help on that front and really be a voice that's not their parents, but can provide some direction and allow them to discover, and this is who I really am. This is what I really want. And how can I start on that path, what changes do I need to make? There's going to be changes that need to be made. And that's going back to the beginning. People can change, and they will change, and they can become greater than they really know in all areas of life. And I love that. I think it's like, literally, to me, it's like the meaning of life.
I love that. And that's like the perfect bookend of how you opened with the inspiration of, I learned that people can change by observing people, including yourself. Mm-hmm. And now you're giving back by giving this course and helping other people say, hey, these are the lessons that helped me. And who can participate in this course? Like, how do they access it?
Literally anyone. I have a website up called youngathletesociety.com, but you can go on there and buy it and use it. And man, it's just me sharing these skills, how to apply them though. Like, that is what I learned about the mindset space, is there's a lot of knowledge. Well, there's a lot of knowledge that isn't applied. The application is where you win in mindset and mental strength training. And so for me, I built it so this is the knowledge, but this is how you use it. This is what you do. This is how you win with this. And athletes love to be given a task, something to do. And once they do it over, and they're used to doing it over and over and over, and they're used to being consistent. It's the same thing with the mindset training. Skills, and then this is why, and then this is how you do it. This is what you're going to do.
I love that. Well, we'll put that link in the description, guys, so you can check it out and maybe your kids won't listen to you, but they'll listen to him. So I won't listen to my dad, but I listen to him. And so maybe my dad will be happy about that. Okay. There's one last thing I want to ask you. You post a lot of inspiration and motivating stuff online, and you put stuff out there to help people, me included, because I follow it and I watch it.
It's me too.
But you close out with always winning. Like that is your, like how you close out every message that you deliver. So why do you say always winning? What does that mean to you?
Yeah, that's a good question. Honestly, because for me, it goes back to the Flecks of Gold. There's so much going on. There's so many trials that people are going through that are hidden that you can't see. We walk by people every day that are in an internal battle. They're not going to show it on their face. It's not going to be on their social media, but they are in this battle. And, to me, if you're even an inch forward, less than an inch, just moving, like that forward motion is winning to me. So I close out with that, because if they read what I just put, they're winning. And so that's why I have always winning on everything, because they just read something or watched a video or something that, man, hopefully helps them move just a little bit more. Because you truly never know when all of a sudden you hit that moment where everything changes. You're always one person away from changing your life. One thought, one book, one podcast, you're always just right there. And that to me brings a lot of hope in life. And for people that are having those battles inside, like you're always winning. Like you truly are. Like if you're just, when you wake up in the morning, I'm winning, right? Like, and so for me, that's what that means. It's just a way, it's just a 2 words that help everyone know, hey, there's purpose in my life and I'm moving in a direction. I'm not being stagnant. Like I truly am not. Just by reading words, that people are posting. That's why I try to, with social media, I try to just flood my social media feed with things that will help me win, podcasts, quotes. I'm going to be on there anyways. So might as well surround myself with stuff that builds instead of stuff that, detracts or lowers. I want to be building. I want to be winning. And that's where always winning comes from.
I love it. That's so inspirational, finding those flecks of gold, and that is winning.
Yeah.
So thank you, Bronson.
Yeah.
I love your smile. I love your enthusiasm. I love your grit and determination, your attitude. Thank you for the lessons that you've learned and shared, and for letting us be part of this conversation.
Well, thank you.
Appreciate love you, man.
Yeah,
and we love you guys for listening, and we will see you next time.